Hello, guys. Welcome to DBTV. Welcome to the Debonair Show. Today is the third episode of the Debonair Show, and we have a very special and important personality in our midst. Without wasting much time, I would like her to introduce herself to us.
Hi everyone, my name is Mrs. Phoebe Badu. I am the wife of Pastor Lord Badu. I'm a mother of three beautiful children. I'm a registered nurse by profession, and most importantly, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. And yeah, that's who I am.
Oh, that sounds so lovely. We are so much happy to have you here today. Thank you for
Having
being.
me.
You are welcome. So today we are going to learn about motherhood and parenting and motherhood and relationship. We know being a mother of three and being a pastor's wife, you've gathered a lot of information or you've already had some experiences that would help everybody out there. And I know by the end of this show, whoever is going to listen to this show is going to be a blessing. Those who are finding difficulties in parenting, single mothers, everybody, I know whoever listens to this show is going to be a blessing. So my first question is, how does it feel being a pastor's wife?
How does it feel being a pastor's wife?
Yeah.
Uh, it feels good to be a pastor's wife. I don't have really any complaints about it.
Is it because your husband is a pastor because of the prestige?
No, I honestly, there's nothing wrong with being a pastor's wife at all. Honestly, it's a high calling, it's a privilege. Just to work for God in general,
Yeah.
it's always a privilege to be part of His vineyard, to be part of His workers, and so. I won't say that, I don't like to be a pastor's wife. Of course, it comes with its challenges and it comes with its own difficulties and whatnot, but being able to be counted as worthy to work in the vineyard of God, for me, I think that is a blessing, and I think it's great.
And you said you're a registered nurse. So this led us to my question. How do you combine career with home activities?
For me, I always will say balance and organization, because being a career woman, having a full-time job plus uh, also being in full-time ministry
Yeah.
and also having a full-time family, you really just need to prioritize and organize yourself.
Mm.
There's certain times, okay, maybe you cannot work for a certain amount of day or a day here because you have a church program, or you can't work this time because you have to take your kids somewhere. So it's really just about organizing your time. It's not always very easy, but that's where you just have to schedule yourself. Especially as a woman, you have to schedule yourself, because things are always on the go. You have to do this, you have to do that. And so if you don't organize yourself very well, you'll find yourself burning out. You'll find yourself stressed a lot. Um, so yeah, it's a balance, but I believe people can do it. I've been doing it for the past 4 years or so.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah.
that's so.
Mhm.
Yeah, as you were talking, I just had this question in mind. I just wanna know, like, does the calling of being a pastor's wife affect your social life? Like, do you think it prevents you from doing certain things you should do even at work?
Uh, no, well, technically, regardless of as a believer, as I said,
Yeah.
the most important thing as who I am as a believer, and as a believer, you need to be the light of the world. So whether I have the title of being a pastor's wife or just
Yeah.
being regular Phoebe, I'm
Yeah.
still supposed to be the light of the world, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes you feel like you have to obviously compose yourself. You can't do certain things in certain places. You obviously have to watch how you speak, what you say, and stuff like that, which is very important. But
Yeah.
I find that it's a good type of restriction, because you can't
Yeah.
always act any way that you want to, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that the only person that can truly um, be free with is obviously my husband. He knows my flaws, he knows my issues and stuff like that. So you have to compose yourself. You have to, yeah, you just have to compose yourself.
Yeah. So my question is, how would you explain motherhood from parenting? Do you think motherhood and parenting is the same, or do you think they are both different? How do you call it? They are both different things on their own.
Mm, Honestly, I think that kind of overlaps
Mm.
in a sense. I think that parenting is like shepherding, leading, guiding, and stuff. And for me, when I think of motherhood, I just think of just showing love to your kids, like showing love to them, showing them what a real mom is like, being there for them. Parenting for me just sounds more strict, I guess. So it's
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah,
How?
parenting sounds more strict, but motherhood sounds more
Mm-hmm.
loving. I don't know. I don't know the definition. I don't know the Google definition for both. But I find that if I'm going based on my own head, I find that motherhood is more loving, showing your
Mm-hmm.
kids love,
Mm-hmm.
care. But parenting is more a little bit strict because you have to, like, tell them don't do this, don't do that. But
Yep.
it still overlaps because as a mother, you still have to do that. You
Yeah.
have to tell them you're not allowed to do this, you're allowed to do that. You have to guide them in a certain type of way, but you still have to show them love. You have to be an example for them, which is very important being a mother.
So do you think social media and then society has a very big impact on motherhood and parenting?
I think now there's a lot of social media influencers who are
Mm-hmm.
mothers, and that may influence some other people, but I believe that if you are trained up in the ways of the Lord, that is really what should be
Mm-hmm.
training up your children, right? The Bible says, train up a child the way he should go, and then when he grows old, he will not depart from it. So, for me personally, I'm not looking at social media mothers or social media in general to come and raise my kids. I'm going to use the word of God to try to train up my child, to try to raise up my child, because if I want him to go in the ways of the Lord, I have to train him up in the ways of the Lord. So, yeah, that's my answer.
So to what you're saying, I have a question like how would how has motherhood build your relationship with others? Because I feel like being a mother and then even being a wife to a pastor, I don't think you can, have relationship with friends again, like those things. So how has that one also impacted you? Do you still have that kind of relationship with your friends? Those you used to go on the girls outing with, like, that's like has motherhood really affected your relationship with family members and friends and the society as well?
Um, I'm really quiet, to be honest. Um, so I won't. I can, like, my kind of friends. You can, like, I can count them on my hand, and I don't think that my friends' um, relationships have changed because I have kids, or relationship with my family because I have kids, or even with people at work or whatnot. I find that having kids actually somehow strengthens the bond because you have
Yeah,
something to talk about. You have
yeah.
something to, like, oh yeah, my son did this yesterday, my daughter did this yesterday. You kind of always have something to talk about with other people, um, especially if you have other mother friends. You can
Mm-hmm.
always, talk to them about your kids, their kids. What are you
Yeah,
doing? Oh, my son is doing this. How do I help him or
yeah.
whatnot? So, it hasn't really strained any relationship. Motherhood is it's a blessing, honestly speaking.
Oh no. So do you think fathers are supposed to always be helping in household choices? Like fathers are supposed to be doing more of like mothers, or fathers are supposed to be reserved?
Um,
Like shared responsibilities.
Share responsibilities.
Yeah.
I believe in shared responsibilities, but I believe in communication, honestly speaking, really. I don't, like, for example, my household, I knew from the beginning when I was marrying my husband doesn't cook. I know that for a fact. So
No, no,
it's not,
I think a lot of men don't cook though.
so I think
We
that
don't like
that
cooking.
starts from really from the relationship or the courting type of phase.
Yeah,
Okay, like when we get married, what do you expect me to do as a
yeah,
wife? What do you expect me to do as a husband? I do the cooking, but when I say my husband can really clean, if he wants to clean, he can
yeah.
really clean. He can clean better than me, and so
But he can't cook.
he can't cook. He can't even boil water. So yeah, he
I
cannot cook.
see.
So it really depends. Really communicate with your spouse on what you want
Mm,
or what can be done. Um, so if your spouse says he wants to do the
yeah.
cooking and you're okay with that, sure. But I think that just communicate on those type of aspects. So yeah.
So how what is one thing that motherhood has really taught you? You made mention of challenges. I mean, you said there are challenges in motherhood. So what is one challenge you would really like to share in motherhood?
I think that one thing that motherhood does is teaches you about yourself. It
Mm,
sometimes you think that you're the most patient person, or you're the most kind
mm,
person, or you're the most, I'll never do this, I'll never do that. But when you have kids and they come and test your patience, you realize, oh my goodness, I'm not as patient as I thought I was, or I'm not as kind as I thought I was, I'm not as giving as I thought I was, or something like that. So it really teaches you a little bit about your flaws and how to fix them. There's some times that you realize, okay, oh wow, I wasn't really as nice to my kid. Maybe I
yeah.
need to go and apologize. And when you apologize to a kid,
Oh, really?
yeah,
A lot
you,
of mothers doesn't apologize.
oh no, well you should. Sometimes you're wrong.
They
Sometimes
just give you side eye.
no, 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 no. You have to. For me, you have to show to your kid that, hey, you know what I did was wrong,
Mm.
and I'm sorry. So
How?
forgive
Like,
me.
how are you gonna show that?
You tell them.
Oh.
I'll call one of my sons. Okay, LJ. Oh, I'm so sorry for yelling at you like that. I didn't mean to, but I didn't like what you did. For example, right? To
Mm.
show them that it's okay to say sorry. Especially growing up in African households, you know, our mothers, they don't say sorry.
No.
They'll just call you from upstairs and tell you to come and eat. That's
Yeah.
their way of saying sorry,
They
right?
just start acting nice to
Yeah, they
you
just
all
start
of a
acting
sudden.
nice. Oh, come get extra meat in the pot, or
Yeah.
come get this.
Yeah.
But hearing sorry from a parent will foster your
Yeah.
children to also know how to say sorry to their sibling. If you can say sorry to your son or your daughter, they can say sorry to their sibling. They can say sorry to their friends at school. They can say sorry to
Yeah.
someone outside. You're teaching them, you're leading by example. But if you don't lead by example, your child will never do that.
So, what about financial challenges? How do you cope with that? Because I know financial challenges is not only when you don't have money at all. Sometimes you go out, you want to buy something, and then it's just like, no, this one I just want to reserve for my husband.
Mm. Well, kids are expensive. Having a family is expensive.
Mm.
You just have to budget yourself. There's some stuff that sometimes you have to forego, um, just so you can put food on the table, or you
Yeah.
have to forego so then you can, you know, I would love to have a Gucci belt, but I'm not gonna spend $600 on a Gucci
Mm.
belt or something.
Yeah.
So because I have kids to clothe, I have mouth to feed and or whatnot. So
Yeah.
you have to just be realistic. There's this saying that my dad would always say: you need to cut your coat according to your size.
Yeah.
And so you need to cut your coat according to your size. You gotta live in your means, right? So
Yeah.
um financial, just save, be financially smart, don't splurge, I would say, and just, you know, communicate with your spouse of how you want your household finances
Yeah.
to be. That's very important. And where you want to, not just don't live for today, but also plan for the future, because as you know, as the economy continues, things continue to rise, things are getting more expensive.
Yeah.
So you gotta
Exactly.
plan.
So, what makes you feel good, or what is the good impact of motherhood to you? Like, what really makes you feel like being a mother is blessed? Like, when you wake up to it, you feel like, oh, I'm really blessed. What are those things?
One of the best things I love to see, I love when I wake up and I just see my kids sleeping. I don't know
Oh,
why.
wow.
I just love it. I just find that, like, you know, it's such, I can see them, even though they're drooling and they're all like messed up. I love
Yeah.
seeing it because it shows that I'm blessed to be a mother. And one of the another blessing I would say that when you teach your child something, or you see them behave in a way, in a good way, and you be like, wow, I impacted that. Like
Mm.
like she got that from me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to see.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see even when they're different from you, for example. Like, for example, as I said, I'm very quiet, I'm very shy. So sometimes when I can
Mm.
see, my daughter's very opposite from me. She's very outgoing. And
Yeah.
so when I see that, okay, she's shining and she's outspoken and can dance, and can do this. It's nice to see, because I'm like, wow, I was never like that. So it's nice to see something different as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, in this part of the world where you can't beat a child, or you can't, I mean, shout at a child when they are wrong. As you said, you apologize to your child. So, what are some of the things that you think as a mother it can help you to train up or bring up your child right?
Obviously, the word number one is the word of God. Honestly speaking, one thing I always would tell my kids, especially if they do something wrong, I always say that Jesus doesn't like that. Jesus doesn't like that. God doesn't like that. Or you ask them the question, would Jesus like what you're doing? If they say no, that's a way of kind of disciplining them. That's a kind of way of teaching them that, hey, what you did is wrong, right? um you take away screen time, you send them to their room, or there's different ways to
Yeah.
discipline a child, right? You don't give them all the toys, or you take away their toys, or whatnot. There are different ways of disciplining the child, but you definitely need to speak to them about whatever they did is wrong or whatever they did is good. You just gotta train them up right in the ways of the Lord.
Right. Being a pastor's wife, let's say somebody watching us right now is dealing with a man of addiction, like addiction to alcoholism, drugs, and all those things. And then the person is so disturbed, like, how am I going to deal with this person or this human being? What is your advice for such people?
Like a wife is dealing with an alcoholic.
Yeah, like a
Is that what
mother,
you're saying?
yeah, a mother dealing with a lot, dealing with the husband is kind of into alcoholic addiction or maybe smoking addiction or any bad addiction
Hmm.
that he can't stay away from. What is your advice for such women?
Um, Number one, prayer. Prayer can change anything. Honestly speaking, prayer can allow God to listen to you. You cry out to God and you say, God, change my husband. Sometimes we think that we can change a person, but we can't. Only God Himself can come down and touch the heart of a man and change that
Yeah,
person. So prayer is number one. In terms of being a mother in that aspect, I would shield my children from seeing certain things.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I would shield them from, you know, seeing their dad drink or seeing their dad,
yeah,
do whatever addiction that they're doing, and
yeah,
really just continue. And when you shield them from that, it shows that they can still see, oh, daddy is still good,
yeah,
daddy is still this, daddy's still that. You do not want to paint a bad picture of your husband to, or their father to, the children, right?
yeah.
'Cause you want them to still
I
see
think
their
that's one
strength.
mistake some women do. They just, even in front of the kids, they just shout at their husband, "Hey!"
Yeah,
Like, and then
yeah.
they has. I think the children pick those
They
kind of,
pick those type
yeah,
of things. If you speak to your husband anyhow,
yeah,
your children will speak to your husband their dad anyhow,
yeah,
right?
exactly, yeah.
So you have to mind how you, even if you're having an argument, try not to have an argument in front of your children. Go upstairs and deal with it as a married couple, or like when the children are not there, you deal with it itself. Don't let the children see what is not supposed to be seen, because what they see when they grow up, they're going to do the same thing.
So this question is, have you ever has any issue or any challenges left your home to another person for discussion before? Like, let's say some people, I know some people, when they just get small issues, they just call their friend, "Hey, can you hear what my husband just said?" Have you ever had that kind of thing before?
I don't do that really. I remember
Why don't you do that?
when I was getting married, I remember that when the for beginning tradition, you have a traditional marriage, and they'll come and give you advice. I
Yeah.
remember one person said that there's only supposed to be three people in your marriage. It's supposed to be you, your husband, and God.
Mm,
So I have three people in my marriage. It's just us three.
mm.
So if I have a problem, it's either I'm going to my husband concerning
Yeah.
it, or I'm going to God concerning it. Well, God is going. I'm going to God regardless
Yeah.
for everything, anyways. So I find that, yeah, I'm going to go to God. I'm not going to go to a man that can't change my situation. I won't
Yeah.
go to anyone that can. I'm not discouraging it, because there's certain things that need to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Some sort of counseling, or maybe you need to go see a pastor concerning certain things. But small petty things
Yeah.
that could be fixed within ourselves, no, I wouldn't do that. But major thing, and I feel like this is above me, maybe I need to go and see someone who has been married longer than me or something like that, then yeah, I would do that. But not for small petty things. Try to fix it within yourself. Speak to God about it. See what He says concerning it before you go and say, just go talk to your friends about it.
Guys, this has been a very wonderful session. We are so happy for everybody listening to us today. I hope you've learned something up to this stage. Just to my last but one question. I would say last, but it's my last but one question. How do you nurture your kids when it comes to financial literacy? What kind of impact do you give to your kids for their financial life as they are growing up?
How do I? Well, my kids are pretty young, so they don't have a financial literacy right now, to be honest.
But I think they have a saying that whatever you teach a child when they are young, they grow up with it.
Yeah, so what we do is that we have fake money. So we teach our kids, okay, if you want something, you have to work for it. So for example, if they want to, have snack time and have, like, let's say 2 snacks or something like that, we'll tell them they have to clean their room, and they'll get fake money of like $10 or $20, and they have $20 to spend. I put a price tag on each snack. They'll have to buy the snack. I give them change. And so they kind of learn the essence of working for what you want, and the essence of knowing how to spend your money. I think my son, he spends his money very recklessly, his fake money very recklessly, but it's okay.
There's this thing I noticed a while ago in the society, which is divorce. I see lots of mothers just breaking up from marriages. For relationships, I would understand, because I feel relationship is a moment where you get to know yourself. But then for marriage, I feel marriage is an institution. But I see people living like 20 years together in marriage, 30 years, and finally one day they just feel like you just have to break up. Do you think it's something that like is meaningful? Is it really meaningful in the society? Meaningful as in, like, do you think it's having good impact on the society? Because for me, I think everything about divorce, like, even if there's misunderstanding, there should be a way of solving it. What's your knowledge or your impact about that?
Well, divorce is not of God. And I believe one thing that the enemy tries to do is to attack marriages. If he can attack marriages, he can attack the home, he can attack the children. When the home is broken, or when the marriage is broken, it's easy for the enemy to come in. And when you have broken children and they go out into society, they're broken children out in society. So now society becomes broken. So the home is really the foundation of everything. And so divorce doesn't have a good impact on society. I think that divorce is obviously not of God. I find that we should find a way to, salvage whatever is going on. I think that everything is fixable, honestly speaking, despite whatever the situation might happen. I do believe with God, all things are possible. So you're able to fix a marriage. If you work at it. Marriage is work. It's actually a work. And if you want it to work, you can make it work. It's about communication. It's about putting God first, and about understanding yourself, understanding your partner. That's very important. And
And
but
how is the mental load of motherhood like?
the mental load,
Yeah.
it's stressful, because you sometimes you wonder to yourself, am I doing a good job? Am I doing the right thing, right? So sometimes you think that oh man, I messed up, I shouldn't have done this way, or something like that. But I believe there was somebody that said something, that you're not really the owner of your child, right? You are just a guardian of your child, and God is the owner of your child. And if you have dedicated that child to God, he's using you as a mother, as a father, as a vessel to guide that child back to himself. So it can be stressful, because you don't know if you're doing things right? Yeah. So like, you can just pray that you are, try your best, you live and you learn, and you try to do your best as a mother. Yeah.
So what is your last advice for all mothers there, and all especially potential mothers out there, those who are about to set into relationship? What should they look out for, and what should they prepare themselves for?
Just look out to God for everything. Honestly, as a mother, if you're looking for a child, look up to God. If you have a child, look up to God. If you're in a relationship, look up to God. If you want to be in a relationship, look up to God. God is the only way that anything can be successful. So put him first, trust in him, allow him to guide you, allow him to lead you, so that you can make the right decision as a mother, as a wife, as a potential mother, as a fiance, as a spouse, whatever you are. Just look on to him.
Yeah, thank you for those words. But I also want to know, there is somebody looking up to God. I know there are a lot of people who even go to church, other religions. A lot of people are really looking up to God, but yes, still they can't overgo some of these challenges, and they can't even overcome some of these challenges because even in the church, I know it's not everybody who is in the church is a strong or serious believer. So how would such of these people, these people, I mean, come around with those challenges? Because definitely, yeah, we look up to God in the church, in the society, in the community, but then it gets to a point where even people are so much overwhelmed with life. So people are so depressed. Like they said, no, I'm not even looking up to God again. Because I know even being a pastor's wife, there will be a day, one day you just be like, oh, this thing is over me, until maybe your conscience tells you that, oh yeah, you are a woman of God, so you should do this. So what are some of the activities, or what are some of the facilities you would recommend for mothers that in times of difficulties they should, run to, or the possible ones? You made mention of God, yeah, which is so good. But in our society, in our community, especially for those who are not religious, or those who don't know God yet, or those who are trying to still know God, because even in the church, people are still trying to know God. So, what are your advice for those people?
Mm, if you are struggling like in any way, like let's say you're not so strong in your faith, it's so important just to have a mentor. You know, someone just to hold your hand in some certain things, right? Because this Christian walk, you can't do it alone, right? You always need someone to help guide you, to help teach you, to help kind of lead you, right? Somebody who has maybe been in the faith um, for longer periods of time, and even if you're at a point of, even as you were saying in your question, like a point where you feel like you're done, you can never be done with God. Don't count God out. You see, sometimes we count God out of the equation too quickly, but sometimes He's just trying to work. Give Him time. Just be patient. When you're patient, God will show Himself, and when He shows Himself, it's going to shock you. And sometimes the Word of God says this: His ways are higher than our own. We may have plans for ourselves, we may have goals for ourselves, but He may want to take us on a different direction, and where He wants to take us is greater than what we can even fathom for ourselves. So just keep trusting in God. Don't give up on God. That's one thing I would say. When you give up on God, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes you can do. Just continue to trust in Him, continue to lean on Him, and have a mentor to hold your hand during those times. Because if you're by yourself, you can't always pick yourself up. If you look at the story of Moses, and when they were having the battle, it was Aaron and Hur who held up Moses' hand during that fight. He couldn't do it alone. He needed someone with them. So you need people with you also in difficult times.
Yeah, because we all see motherhood to be a beautiful thing. Like, oh, especially on Mother's Day, you see everybody celebrating their mom, everybody trying to give appreciation and all those stuffs. But then it also tends to be the other way around when the home is kind of not complete. It
Okay.
gives this kind of, the mother is doing their own thing, the child is doing their own thing, the father is doing his own thing as well. So, to my very last part of this program, what is your advice for the potential mothers, especially people trying to start relationships, people trying to start marriages? What should they both look at? I know you've said a lot about parenting, motherhood, relationship, building your own home and your everything. But for people who are now going into it, that's for, I think the first part is for people who are already in it. But this is for people who are now going into it. What is your advice for them? And yeah, your biggest advice that they should look out for.
My biggest advice, if you are not married and you are, God willing, to be a potential mother, is know who you're marrying. The potential father. I think who you marry is, after salvation, one of the biggest decisions that you can ever make, right? So choosing the right spouse is very important, because that spouse that you choose is
But
going to.
how would one know that this is the right spouse? This, I know this is a question for a different day, but I just want an overview because that has been a very big topic for discussion in the society. Like knowing this is the perfect one,
You'll
because
never have a perfect one. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're two coming as two imperfect people to live together. No one is perfect. You'll never have somebody who is 100% what you want on your list. You pray to God and ask God, Lord, I want this in a husband. I want this in a wife. Lord, you know who I am. You know what my flaws and my difficulties are. Have someone who will help me, right? As a man, you're looking for someone who will be your helpmate. As a wife, as a woman, you're looking for someone who will lead you. So you pray to God and ask Him to send you someone that way. The same way Isaac, Abraham's servant, went to go and look for Rachel. He had specific instructions of what he wanted not Rachel, Rebecca to do, and Rebecca did that, and that was Isaac's wife. The same way we should come to God. God, I need this, or God, I want this, but He will give us also what we pray for. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah, it does. It does. I mean, yeah, that would be a question for a different day because things that we are supposed to expect before building relationships. For me, I like the concept of marriage, but I just think about its longevity.
marriage is a beautiful thing. It's a great thing. It's a
Yeah,
nice thing. You have a good partner.
I think about one
It's
day being
amazing.
a father, one day being a dad, and I just recall the things that I just see my dad doing as when I was a kid, like training us and those things, being through the hard times, just trying to raise us and everything. I just think about it, but then also I just ask myself a lot of questions. Are you ready? Are you ready for it? Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you have to be ready for it.
yeah,
If you're not ready to you have to be ready to have a child. You have to be ready to be married. If you're not ready, don't go into something that you're not ready for, because then if you're not mentally, physically, financially, spiritually ready for these things, life is going to hit you with a ton of blocks and you won't be able to withstand it. But when you're truly ready, you'll know. Trust me, you'll know when you're ready, and you just kind of go from there. And God will send you the right person at the right time. Just be patient and trust in Him.
guys, this is so lovely. We have come to the end of today's episode. Thanks to all mothers out there. We really appreciate each and every mother out there carrying us with our big heads for 9 months. It's not an easy journey.
Big heads.
Exactly.
Something.
Yeah. Me, my big head like this, I know. Yeah, carrying us with big heads for 9 months, it's not easy. Training us for years, shouting, all those things. We want to say thank you, mothers. We really love you a lot. We appreciate all mothers in the world, all potential mothers. Wherever you are, whatever you're going through, we pray that God will definitely visit you. Whatever is your challenge, whatever that you can overcome, we seek God's guidance and protection for you. We know that being a mother is not easy, especially being a single mother. That will be a different topic for a different day about single motherhood and parenting. We've come to the end of the show for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more of these impactful and knowledgeable discussions. See you next time on the Debonnaire Show. Thank you for watching us today. See you.
Bye.